and bad they are, whatever the description here, they're gonna be that much more resolved in their attitude that nobody cares about me. They're not really there for me. They're just there for themselves and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're wrong, but they don't see what's really happening, and so they're going to go back and say, just another person that came into my life that I tried to trust, and they're not there for me. And there I think lies the whole key ingredient to what I've learned.
Well, Steve, you see that in the veteran population, and especially the ones dealing with PTSD, and they go down to the veterans facilities, and what happens is they wind up seeing a PhD, and they're there for one session just to introduce themselves, basically, and then they come out and they don't go back. And my son experienced that same thing, and I asked him why, and it's exactly what you're saying. He said, because they don't know what I've been through. How could they? They've never been there. They're just there because they're getting a paycheck. They have no idea what I've been through. And he's right. I mean, and it's the same thing with your programs and other programs. If you don't show that you genuinely care for people, you're not going to connect with the people. It's that, I mean, you might get one or two that stick around because they absolutely need it, and they're at that point in their life where they absolutely have to have this. But the others, if they don't think you care, just like you said, they're going to book, and that's it. And you can chase them, but until they're ready to come back or they feel that you care for them or care about them, you've lost them.
That's exactly right. Let me take it a little deeper. Your show last week, Climbing Mountains.
What mountains do you have to climb? Yep.
Shit. I've listened to maybe 20 of your shows now, and I've gone back into your archive. And let me just say this before I get off of it. If you go to my website, rightthink.org, RIGHTTHINK.org, and when you land on the website, it's going to be a homepage. It's got this thing they call a carousel, and that's where you can get the links to this program, but you can also get the link to the Talk Network Radio, the full station with everybody else's shows, and I encourage everybody to go to rightthink.org and go to not just my show where you can listen live or go to an archive, but go to the whole network, because it's amazing how wonderful it is. So I just wanted to get that out there.
I appreciate that.
Here's what I want to say. No, you're welcome. But here's what I want to say. I want to get back to learning how to be a great talk show host, and I'm going to throw this at you. I've got a dilemma with what I'm doing, and I'll get a little personal here. One of the things that's difficult for me, and I guess it's a frustration a lot. A lot of people, they're motivating other people. They're giving great encouragement. Hey, your show today. He was fantastic. McRae, what's his name?
Thomas McRae. He works for the New York City Housing Authority, and he's published 11 books. And I'll tell your audience right now, don't ever say that you don't have it in you, because this young man, if you know his whole story, you would say, wow. That's all I can say.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, I just want to say this. The title of the book that he talked about today, was it really Pimping from the Pulpit?
I'm not going to give that away. You got to read the book. I'm telling you, it's amazing. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, you didn't correct me, so yeah, that's the title. Here's what I want to say.
It's called Pimping the Pulpit. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Well, here's my point. I have a question that I speak to, and I would like to hear your take on this. here's how I say it, and I'll pull off a little bit, so I won't go too far with it, because today's all about you, and all I'm trying to do today is kind of coast into getting my first show done, so that people will know that I'm surrounded by phenomenal people. In other words, this show that I'm in, I'm just fortunate to be part of a team. The team with your network, the team with a lot of other people that I travel with, that I connect with, people that genuinely want to help other people have a better life. And we all have our unique niche. That's what I'm saying. But so here's a question for you that I'm going to deliver, and I think you're going to appreciate it. What good does it really do to hear a great motivational speak? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. War. What is it good for? That's the song, War, What Is It Good For? And I pause there, because one of the things I say to people when I'm in my prisons and everywhere else, the stuff that I'm talking about with them and how to help them change their behavior so that they can get it right, have a better life, move on. There's a whole lot more to life when what they might be realizing. They can hear speakers all day long. You can go to churches all the time, and you can hear the message, and you can be told the way it's supposed to be. But unless the person listening to a motivational speech makes some movement in a positive direction to change their behavior, it's worthless to that person. And so you got a lot of speakers out there that aren't really getting people to change, because some of these populations are like, well, it's like the story you told, and like you shared. The guy in the prison in the state of Washington that was polite with you when you were mentoring those guys in the program. I think he had 16 men in the prison in Washington. And he says, well, why don't you just tell that part, because that's a great connection that I'd like you to share.
Which one?
He said, well, that's real easy for you to say, but, you're out there and I'm in here.
Oh, yeah, that's what I talked about earlier. It's about the choice. But, there was also another one where I was in the room with 16, and there was a Marine that was in there. And I asked him why was he there? And I said, you're disgracing your uniform. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Why are you doing this? And he was there for drugs. And what had happened was he got out. He got himself a girlfriend, and he wanted to stay with his girlfriend so bad that he was willing to do anything to make that happen, including buying and selling drugs for her. Now here he is, sitting in jail, doing 5 years, and she's out there still doing her thing. And it's like, I asked him, why? It was because he wanted to fit in. That's it. He just wanted to fit in. It's like, sometimes it's not right for you to fit in. Sometimes you got to do your thing, and you got to do what's right. And it's like what Thomas McRae in his book talked about, is that sometimes you're going to hurt people's feelings and you're going to turn people off. And it's like my mentor tells me, John Maxwell tells me, it doesn't matter what other people say. It's none of your business. You got to do what's right for you. So I live by that, man. I don't care what other people say. I really don't. I turn them off. There's people that say a lot of stuff about the radio and about this and about that, and about some of the talks that I give, and I just turn it off. I know where I want to go and how I'm going to get there, and I just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep going.
I got to share this with you, because a lot of people that I know are listening today that are supporters and friends of mine that are encouraging me and that love me. I just appreciate every one of them. I just want to tell you just a really quick little story about my mother. This May, my mother passed 19 years ago. It'll be 19 years. She had a brain tumor, and my mother really, really loved music, and she gave me that love also. And when she was about 8 months, a year into it, she really couldn't think clearly and remember things. And I would come over, and there'd be other family members there, hey, all my family members that are listening, I love you, but I'm going to tell this story. So I'd come in, and I got this Radio Shack earplug. My mother was sort of deaf in one ear, and I could talk in this microphone right into my mother. I mean, it was like, wow. I got this earplug going right into my mother with a microphone on it. And she loved Mitch Miller music. And she had a couple favorite songs. Casey Would Waltz with the Strawberry Blonde, and the band played on Oh, You Beautiful Doll, and then I'll Be With You in Apple Blossom Time. So I'd come over, and there might be 4 or 5 other family members there. And I would ask my mother if she would like to hear me sing. And I'm not a singer. I don't care. I just have I have a passion to just kind of connect with people. And so my mother would go, yeah. And I'd say, do you want to hear Casey Would Waltz with the Star? She goes, I like that song. So I would sing those 3 songs in a medley. And then she didn't remember that I'd sang the first song. So I would do the whole medley like 12 or 13 times in an hour. Just those 3 songs is all I would do. I'd get to the 3rd song, and then I'd ask her if she wants to hear the first one again. And she had no recollection that I'd already sang those same songs. Well, everybody else after the first round of it said, oh, here he goes again. Let's get out of the room here. And I'll be honest with you. I'd say, yeah, please do. Get out of the room with you, because I'm here for Mom. And they all love her just as much as I do, but they don't like my singing is what their punchline is. But the point is, I think that's what you're saying. When you believe in what you're doing and you know it's good for people, you got to just do it. So let me transition that to this thought. Jeff, I need some help on this one. I told you earlier, I don't expect that my program is going to have a real high active listenership. And that's the reason I've designed it the way that I did. Because I'm going to be meeting inmates from all over the country. I'm going to be traveling around the prisons and doing my message. And then I'm going to send them to the radio show. And from the radio show, they're going to be invited to go to the website where there's more mentoring opportunities and resources, and we can connect and be involved. They can have their own private space and things like that. Well, the problem is that because this is the life gets in the way population, they're not going to be real disciplined and staying tuned in very much. They might want to do it for a while. They might do it, but then they won't. And so my message, I can't go on and just build. I'm going to have to always circle back and kind of stay on it. And fortunately, that's one of the things that I'm pretty good at, is saying the same thing over and over again in a lot of different ways. So the bottom line is, here's what I want to ask you. This is my next question for you. Okay, so you got somebody that wants you to mentor them. They're loving the involvement with you. It's a life-changing, you're the one they've been waiting for. You're connected with them. You are genuinely helping them. It's good for them. The relationship is just really good. But it's kind of like in Christianity. Some new Christians, they get like on fire, and then something wears off about a month or 2 later, and they slip right back into where they were because they weren't deep enough yet. They really hadn't gotten to what it really needs to be. So I want to ask you, with the type of population that I'm dedicated my life to, when you're influencing somebody, but they claim victory prematurely, that they're ready now, they've learned it all, they want to go out on their own, and they want to drop off too early. Tell me what you do to try to stay with them.
Well, you're not going to like my answer. So, I
know your answer, Joe.
I let him go. And I want to answer that the thing that you said about new Christians, and they're all pumped, and then 2 or 3 months later they go away, and the reason for that is because they don't fully trust in God. The first beginnings, it's like, oh yeah, and they're getting all this good stuff, and it feels really good, and then they let their voices in their heads start talking to them, and over a period of time, they're beginning to lose trust, and then they lose trust, and then they go back to their ways, and then they fall out of where they were when they first became a Christian. It's all about trust.